just to kind of let everybody know, like what was your highest income earning month like so far in your 14 months here at the Teacher Project?
Yeah, and it still sounds crazy to say because I mean it was last month in March when I got a bunch of my students, to sign up for the last term, and we
Yeah.
brought in 25,000 in 1 month.
20. We are up and live. What is going on, everybody? Hopefully, you guys are having a great day. I can already see we got people kind of flooding into the live stream already. If you guys are brand new to the Student Acquisition Secrets group here on Facebook, first and foremost, I want to tell you guys welcome. We've been getting more and more people popping in here over the last couple months from like really all over the world. So if you guys are popping in, want to just say hello, welcome to the party. We're glad that you're here. And if you have not seen any of our videos or content in the past, definitely go check that out. And if you've not met myself yet, my name is Kyle. I'm the Client Success Director here at the Teacher Project. And guys, one of the things that we say here at the Teacher Project is we're helping educators figure out how to go ahead, become business owners, and teach on their own terms, right? Maybe you teach math, maybe you teach physics, science, maybe you teach languages. Maybe you're teaching something, a little bit more obscure. It does not matter. If you are an educator, you can go ahead and take that information, figure out how to learn how to do marketing, how to do sales, how to deliver your classes, and then start to scale your businesses to earn what it is that you're worth. And so we just tell people you can teach what you want, where you want, when you want, and charge what it is that you want as well. And so over the last 5 years, everybody, we've been rocking and rolling here with other educators and helping them build out their businesses. And over the course of that time, we've been able to work with a ton of clients that have been able to go ahead and scale their businesses. And so every once in a while, we like to invite people on here that have graduated through our SOD programs up into our impact programs that are scaling their business. And I'm I've been really proud and excited about this particular interview, guys. We got the awesome Luke Savin on here today. And I'm just proud to say, man, that you've been able over the last 14 months to generate over 100K in your business. And I'm just so excited to dive in with you here today, Luke, talk about your journey, man, and essentially be able to give a little bit of advice back to the people that are watching this live or to watch it on the replay. But I'm just excited to fully hear your story, man, and dive in. Do you want to go ahead and take a second? Just introduce yourself, where you're from, what you teach, and then we can dig into your story a little bit more.
Yeah, sure thing, Kyle. So my name's Luke. I'm a A-level maths teacher in the UK. So I work with 16 to 18-year-olds who are doing A-level mathematics just before they go into university. And a bit of background about me. I was a full-time teacher, so fully qualified, working in a secondary school. And then right around when COVID hit, I decided
Mhm.
to leave, try my hand at some private tuition, and essentially early 2024, I got maxed out. I couldn't teach anymore. I couldn't earn anymore. I was capped. And then thankfully I saw Teach Project advertised, learned a little bit more. And then, yeah, just like Kyle said, here we are like 14 months later, 100,000 revenue. Yeah, it's still crazy to say that.
Hard to believe.
Absolutely. Yeah.
When you were thinking about maybe this was even what most people think, like were you just feeling back then? Because like let's rewind 14 months ago, Luke, you were saying, hey, I'm capped on my time, I'm capped on what I can earn. Was that just basically like a time limitation? Like you couldn't fit anybody else in?
Yeah, essentially. I mean, I still remember one of the days I had like, 11 one-on-one students like booked in.
Oh,
I had my first one at like 9 a.m.
yeah.
and then I was working until like 10 p.m. that evening, right? I had like an hour break for lunch, an hour break for dinner, and I was just back to back. But I remember thinking, back then, wow, this is great. I'm my own boss. It's a long
Mhm.
day, it's a long, long lot of work, but I was my own boss. But then, yeah,
Yeah.
you're absolutely right. I got to a point, it wasn't sustainable, right? I was working like, 13-hour days every day. I
Yeah.
just couldn't do it. Yeah.
Yeah, man, I can relate to that. I think I've told you this before, but you and I, we were in the same boat in that capacity of just feeling like, yeah, I'm running my own thing. But then as soon as you fill up all your time slots, now you just got that job day in, day out. It's hard to go ahead and have any flexibility in your job, which is super hard. So, when you were in that space and you were just working, every one-on-one that was coming down the pipeline, I'm sure there's other people out there that might be experiencing similar things, or maybe they haven't quite jumped into tutoring themselves, but this is just where you were. Dude, what was that internal feeling? Was it dread? Was it like, oh my gosh, I just built this like prison for myself and I'm just kind of like in it. Like this is the bed that I've made. I just gotta lay in it now. Like, what were some of those thoughts that were like popping into your head? Because I'm sure I can relate to some of them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in the early days, right, when I first left teaching and then I was, doing my own thing, I was like, wow, this is great. This is really, really fun. I'm doing my own thing. I love it. But then, yeah, you're absolutely right. It got to a point where I almost lost my free time, right? Like one of the reasons why I wanted to try my hand at tuition and, going down my own route is because I wanted that flexibility and that freedom. But then, yeah, you're
Yeah.
absolutely right. It got to a point where I was working more hours than when I was in full-time education, right? Like, sure,
Yep.
I mean, I was still my own boss. I could still pick my own hours, but there were other trade-offs that come with that because if I wasn't working, I wasn't earning, and that was always something that was in the back of my head that kind of worried me a little bit, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, you're absolutely right. It got to a point where I was just thinking, damn, I've every single day is going to be non-stop. And don't get me wrong, I love teaching, I love what I do, but yeah, I got burnt out.
Yeah. I think that's really interesting because I think so many of us, Luke, have that entrepreneurial spirit, right? We want to go ahead, we want to strike out, we want to go ahead and see if we can do this on our own. And I think that's great. I think that's great. But if you end up on a certain ladder and you just keep taking that one ladder up to the top, eventually you might find, oh, I need to be on a different ladder. And I think that's where you, me, other people that have done one-on-one, we love teaching, right? But there's only so much time and so much energy that we can put into this. And if we want that time freedom and that financial freedom, well, this can get us so far, but then we might have to laterally transition in order to figure out there's got to be better systems, right? I've
Yeah,
heard this too. Whenever you're running your own business, you don't have like a boss, but you are your boss, right? And you will drive yourself super, super hard, harder than probably any other boss. But when you're trying to get your own thing up and off the ground, you have to, right? You
yeah,
got to go ahead and make those sacrifices moving forward. And so, yeah, man, I was in that same place too, where I was just feeling a bit hopeless. I'm like, oh my gosh, how do I have a life down the line? How do I have a family? And how do I get married and have kids? And you know what? When you're on that ladder, it's tough to envision that. And so I was feeling pretty hopeless myself, but I'm really glad, man, that you recognize that instead of just like sitting in it.
yeah,
Because I think I read in your form that you kind of filled out that you were in a place where you were just like, I think this is it. Were you
yeah.
were you ready to go ahead and sign that sheet and say, hey, I'm just settling for the way life is?
Yeah, yeah, and you know what? As you were explaining it then in terms of the ladders, I think that's a really good way of picturing it because one of the things that, and I'm just reminded as it now as you talk out loud, I kind of got to a point where I was thinking, is this something I can actually do in the long term? Right?
Yeah.
Because sure, my hours were maxed out. I was earning a living on my own. I was working a lot of hours, and I asked myself, 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, would I be able to sustain what I'm doing now in the long
Mm,
term? And the answer was no. Like
yeah.
something would have given, right? Something would have had to cave. Maybe it was the number of hours, the amount of income, because it was unsustainable, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. And what were you making then? Like when you say you were capped, what was
Yeah,
that like top earning potential that you could get to at that
yeah.
point?
Well, I remember back then, like, one of my busiest weeks, let's say, when I was just one-to-one, back-to-back. I think I brought in like, 1,100, 1,200 roughly. And I
Yeah.
remember back then thinking, whoa, this is crazy. This is insane. Like,
Yeah.
this is really good. But that was absolute maximum. And then, you got to bear in mind that, well, if you just keep up with that model, then over summer, that income is just going to drop off right away.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was kind of the number each week, I suppose. If I try and remember, my highest month, I would be surprised if it like passed the 4K mark, really.
Gotcha. And
Yeah.
so that's kind of where you were. Time was maxed out. You kind of hit the income ceiling. And now, man, just to kind of let everybody know, like what was your highest income earning month like so far in your 14 months here at the Teacher Project?
Yeah, and it still sounds crazy to say because I mean it was last month in March when I got a bunch of my students, to sign up for the last term and we
Yeah.
brought in 25,000 in one month.
25,000. Was that revenue or cash?
that was actually cash collected. Yeah.
Cash collected 25K,
Yeah.
and you probably had additional like front end revenue because you were basically collecting
Yeah.
students that were currently
Correct.
like
Yeah.
working with you that you then sold into kind of another program. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, it was like 25K cash collected, and yeah, I suppose revenue would be, easily above 30. It would be, yeah.
Yeah, which is amazing. Like it kind of
Yeah.
blows your mind in the beginning to realize, oh my God, for like anybody watching this, like somebody's teaching salary might be 40K, 50K, 60K, but to go ahead and say, we just generated that not only like revenue but cash, 25K in a month. It's difficult to get your mind around. If you're watching this on the replay, guys, so much of what we do here at the Teacher Project is help you reinvent your mindset, right? Because sometimes just being able to contemplate that is the reason why we haven't gone there because it just doesn't make sense. The belief isn't there. But I'm telling you, the people in our SOD program, the people in our impact program, they're real people. You're looking at Luke right now. He is a real person. And again, just realizing, well, if Luke can do it, why can't I? Does it happen overnight? No. We have to go ahead and put the hard work in order to make that happen and have the opportunity. But great things can happen, guys, if you guys open up and have the belief and take the action. And if that's you, I'm gonna go ahead and drop a link in the chat here because I know there's a lot of teachers out there, right? We're coming to the end. It's almost the end of April, May, summer's coming up, and you might have said, I just can't go back in the fall. Remember, facts are your friend. Go ahead, fill out, this application. We'd love to go ahead and just see, hey, is there a way that we can help you? Speak with one of our team members to go ahead and understand what's going on. I just checked in the chat. I wasn't looking at it before, but Dalton Luke said, I
Okay.
love listening to your story, Luke. You have put so much work in, well deserved. Elliot's cheering you on. Yeah. Dalton also said, this is an amazing opportunity to learn from Luke and how he's been able to take control of his schedule and help more people, which I absolutely love. So just rewind a little bit here, Luke. When
Yeah.
you first came in to the teacher project, what were some of those first things that you remember in those first couple months? It might have been who you talked to or who you worked with or what you were working on. What stands out, man, when you came into the program?
Yeah, I suppose when I reflect back and look at, the early days when I was just getting everything set up, it's kind of like what you were just talking about. It's putting in place some of that, that hard work to put the systems in place that allow you to get to this sort of point. And I remember a big thing for me. I actually remember when I spoke to, I think it was Alex I spoke to, back in February, because I asked him a question, right? I was like, I just don't understand. I don't see how can I as a math teacher, right, bring 10K in 1 month? I just don't understand it. And he was like, well, you're going to have to put these systems in place, do this sort of stuff. But he's like, that'll be fine. You'll get there in no time. And then now when I
Mhm.
look back at it, it's exactly what you were just saying before, Kyle. It's like, it's a shift in mindset. That's realistically, I think that's one of the biggest things on, when I reflect back that I'm really like happy to see that I've made that change. So going from a teacher to an entrepreneur to like a business owner and putting all those things in place that allow me to get to here. Yeah, that's probably what stands out most. And when I look at what I've got now, in terms of the systems, how I work with students, and how I think of myself.
Yeah.
That's probably the biggest change I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that just to piggyback on that, who you were, Luke Savin at the beginning of 2024 is very different than Luke Savin at the end of 2024. It's very different than the Luke Savin here in April. And you and I, we actually just had a conversation about how, wow, I'm running into some like higher level problems in the business. I have to go ahead and upgrade my operating system to become someone better that has different standards that can go ahead and solve those challenges, man. Can you kind of share anything in regards to that, how you feel like you've developed just being
Yeah.
here in community, interacting with your one-on-one coach within the office hours? What stands out to you?
Yeah, well, I suppose in terms of, changing my thought process recently, something that I've really had to deal with is going from, like a teacher or a tutor mindset to, no, I need to act, as a leader in this sort of situation
Yeah.
because, back in March it was great. Of course, we got all these new students coming through, all these new leads coming through. But one of those, higher level issues that I'd never faced, never dealt with before was the fact that too many people were reaching out, asking for support, asking for help. And, I had to like take a step back and say, okay, how can I actually solve this? So I ended
Mm,
up hiring one of my previous staff members to, help me out in terms of onboarding new clients, meeting new clients, and things like that. And that was, a big mindset change. And you're absolutely right. We had a conversation, I think it was like a week ago, talking about how these issues are things that, I was never prepared for or I never faced earlier on. But you've got to grow and you've got to upgrade your operating system, like you said, so that you can deal with these different kinds of issues as you grow the business.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, man. There's just, it's interesting to me how so much of what business is realizing it's not about working. Because, like, as you had that success, you're up to 80 students now, right?
Yeah.
You could have said, oh, wow, I'm super successful. I need to work harder. I need to work longer because I got to handle and spin all these plates myself. But you said, no, like, I'm ready to like step into that leadership role, develop a team. That's a whole new skill set, right? At the end of the day. And I think it's interesting, like when you're thinking about upgrading these systems, doing it by yourself sounds terrible, scary, right? But the fact that you're up in our impact program now, surrounded by people that have not only like stepped into that space, but have also figured out where the traps are and the issues. Can you fill anybody in about that, man, just in regards to how much the community is so
Yeah.
powerful to gain that insight so you can step into that space too?
Absolutely. I mean, I remember, going back a couple of months and talking to a few of the people when we met up in Austin, saying about how grateful I am to be a part of this community. Not just for, when the issues are right and you want someone who's been there before to ask for help, but also, when you're thinking about, okay, how can I continue to grow and how can I continue to look further forward and solve these other potential issues? The community aspect, I mean, it's almost like I want to say it's priceless in a way because I get so much enjoyment and value out of working with other people in a similar position to me.
Yeah.
Because without that, it would feel almost like a one-man show almost because
Hmm.
we don't go into the classroom in school anymore. So I kind of look at it that way. And sometimes, it's nice to catch up and hear how Marcus is getting on, how Amy's getting
Yeah.
on, everyone else in these similar positions to me. It's really, really great and it's invaluable to talk to these other people who are doing the same things you are right now, see some people who are a little bit further ahead and, reach out for them for some help, or potentially the other way around, right? Some people who are a little bit behind where I am right now and they come to me asking for support and help. And, I'm more than
Yeah.
happy to do that.
I love that. I think that's what we've really built here at the Teacher Project. And for anybody watching, there's a level of collaboration instead of competition where we're just working together. There's so many students out there. It's a blue ocean that we're not really competing in that area. We're looking to help each other grow. And somebody just recently told me it's lonely at the top. When you're starting anything, you're starting a business, it's exciting. But when you are that person at the top, it can get a little bit lonely. And you know what? Being in community is like you said, just priceless, absolutely priceless. To be able to do that. And you know what, Luke, you actually brought up a really good point that we're an online community here of business owners helping people, set up those businesses. And it can be a little disconnected sometimes where we are in online spaces. And so we do have those in-person events, whether that is in London, where the Teacher Project is based, or here in the US. We've been to New York. We had the Impact Only event in Austin, Texas, and we're going to be going to Denver here June 12th through the 15th. I'm super excited about that. That's going to be our fifth live event ever. But when you kind of think about the Austin event and any other live events that you've been to, man, is it a must go to event in order to kind of get that post event bump and that feel that energy? Would you say?
Completely. I mean, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking back to, when I went to London back in, June
Yeah.
of last year of 24. And that was, I don't even know how to put into words, but that was like the eye-opening time for me, right? Because I realized, I got to see Alan, I was speaking to Dalton and, seeing all these other people who had went through this sort of process and hearing, how many students they're supporting, the sort of lifestyle that they can now live and the freedom
Hmm.
that they've got. It really made me get a real sense of this is something I can do long term. And, it goes back to what I said earlier. When I was, fully maxed out one-on-one, where else could I go, right? There was very little else that I could do. I couldn't scale, I couldn't grow anymore.
Yeah.
And the concern was, what am I going to do a year from now, 5 years from now, right? But then at that London event, I actually remember sitting at that table when we did the round table and we were hearing from everyone else. And I was going, well, they've done it. They've done it. They've done it. They've done it. And I can see a path forward. That was the moment I
Yeah.
kind of said, I can see a way forward. So then, yeah, that's when I decided, okay, let's go all in and let's see how far I can push this.
I
And
love
it,
it,
it, it
man.
was the catalyst. Yeah,
Yeah, I get chills because I think that's that moment for so many people where they actually believe. They actually have the faith to say, I'm going to take the step. I don't know exactly how it looks, like the direct path, but I can see the end goal because these other people have done it. And so, yeah, I just want to encourage anybody watching this live or watching the recording. Again, I'm going to drop the link for, just our students on demand teacher project application because again, if you're in a place where you're questioning where you're at, maybe you love teaching. You know it's something you want to do. Maybe you have that, you feel like, hey, I've been created for this purpose, but maybe in the school system, it's just not where you need to belong. And so, you know what? Being able to shift onto a different ladder, be able to run and be creative and start your own thing and be that gatekeeper to help the students that you want to help and create the systems that you want to create to give you that freedom moving forward. Luke's done it. I've done it. We got 400 people in the community that are off and running and building their businesses and saying, yeah, it's not about I can't anymore. It's I can. It's not a question of if I can do it. It's just a question of when at the end of the day. And so I just want to encourage everybody out there that you are one step away from going ahead and changing your life because we really say here, we used to say we help people start tutoring businesses. Now we say, hey, we help people transform their life by starting a tutoring business. And Luke, I see life transformation in you. What are you most excited about here as you think about where you are currently, thinking about the rest of 2025 and into 2026? Do you have any goals for yourself and what you're looking to do?
Well, yeah, I mean, in terms of, what you were just saying there, in terms of the lifestyle that it's allowed me to live, like when I look at what my life would have been like working as a full-time teacher, I could have been happy, I could have been, comfortable doing that, but I always wanted to do a little bit more and, I knew I was capable of more. So then looking forward long term, I mean, well, yeah, talking about goals for the next academic year, I'm actually going to be taking a step back from the teaching so that
Mm-hmm.
I can actually focus more on upgrading the systems, working with more students, taking more calls, and onboarding, as many
Yeah.
clients as possible. So in terms of goals, we're looking to, increase our max capacity from about 50 now to 100 in the next academic year. And, like I was saying before, I know how I can get there now. I see the way forward. I know what I have to do. I know the things I have to have in place to allow me to do that. And yeah, it's about working to get those places in place.
Yeah. You'll understand because I've actually had to make this understanding just in myself and my role here at the Teacher Project. We have 35 people working here across our operations team, success, sales, and I've started to realize I have to take that step, into more management and leadership in order for everyone else here and the clients to be able to thrive. You're seeing that now in your own business where it's like, I have to step up, I have to level up and upgrade my operating system and start managing more and realizing how are these systems working well together because they have a ripple effect downstream. And so I'm proud of you, man. That's absolutely amazing that you're making that step and you're not shying away from it, but you're embracing it, right? A
Absolutely.
lot of times there's a lot of fear, a lot of worry, a lot of anxiety when we're ready to make this next stage or this next jump. But man, you're throttling ahead and
Absolutely.
breaking down those barriers. And I'm so proud of you, man. It's awesome. And people are going to
Thanks a
look
lot.
up to you and be like, if Luke can do it, well, why can't I? And start a team and do those things. So great job, man. I just got a few more questions that I think could help a lot of people watching here.
Yeah, sure.
I want to look at two different avatars here. Someone that maybe has been like loves teaching, but maybe has not really found like the tutoring stuff yet. Maybe they're just getting going, but they just really don't really like where they're at and they're looking for a new opportunity, man. What would you say to that person if they were kind of on the fence and just looking for a little encouragement to say, hey, man, jump in with the teacher project. We're going to guide you. What would you say to them?
I mean, if you're passionate about teaching and you know this is something that interests you, I would 100% say without any sort of hesitation, give it a shot, jump in, try it out. Because for me personally, one of the things that I've always kind of said to myself is I just don't want to live with any sort of, regrets. I don't want to look back and say, I wonder what it could have been like. I
Mm,
wonder what this, opportunity could have looked like for me. And yeah, it's like you were saying before, it's clear as day. The way forward, it's clear for me now. But I mean, it's only clear for me now because I've been working with you guys and you guys have helped me along the way. You know what I mean? So
mhm.
yeah, if you're passionate about teaching and you're thinking this could be something that you're interested in, if it was me, I'd go back in a heartbeat. I used to say to some people, right, that my only regret was that I didn't join sooner. I remember back in February of 24 saying that. I was like, damn, why didn't I join last year? Because I could have been even further ahead. I actually remember saying that.
Yeah. And I love that, man. Just go. Because I always think about the same thing with regret as well. And if anybody can relate to that, drop a one in the chat. But yeah, it's like we think about the actions we take. Nobody really regrets the actions they take. It's always the actions you don't take that you wish
Exactly.
you had the courage to go, right? And
Definitely.
I know there's a lot of people out there that are nervous, that are skeptical, but that's why we have this community. That's why you have a coach to go ahead and start asking you questions to figure out why are you feeling that way? Because maybe you've been operating this way your entire life. And what if we got on a different trajectory? Even just 1 degree, then two, then three, where would you end up? So I love that, man. Great advice there. And then if you had to talk to somebody that's maybe the solo entrepreneur, they're running, they're trying to get off the one-on-one ladder and get onto more of a program-based group model. Maybe they're trying to start a team. Like, what advice would you give to that person about, making that identity shift and going in maybe a little small team or making that jump to group? What would you say to them?
Well, just think like long term. Like if you're in a similar position, like you just said, Kyle, that's kind of what, I was in, you were in. Just ask yourself, like, long term, is this sustainable? Long term, is that going to work? Because for me, the answer was no, it's not going to work. And then I decided to, work with you guys. And it was, again, like I say it was the best decision I ever made in terms of my career, in terms of my freedom, my flexibility, and now, in terms of my like earning capacity, right?
Yeah.
It was the best decision I ever made. I mean, even like laying it out, it sounds crazy to say, but it absolutely was. Because I mean, I look at where I am right now and what I'm doing. I mean, like the opportunities that have presented themselves are just crazy. I mean, just as an example, right? Like I'm going to India next week, all right, in the middle of a teaching term, and I'm going to work. I'm sorry, I've been invited to a wedding of one of the guys that I work with now. He's invited me over to his sister's wedding, and like something like that a year ago. Crazy. Like, how would that happen? How would I get to this
Yeah.
position? So yeah, the doors it opens is absolutely amazing.
Opportunities open, man, when you go ahead and take that first step. And it's funny that you're going to India next week. You're going to have to reach out to Coach Jessie in school because she's
Yeah.
going to India
Oh,
next
really?
week. I know India is a massive
It's a
country,
big
but
place. Yeah.
how crazy would it be if you guys
That'd
ended
be
up in the
amazing.
same exact place and had a picture in India? I
Yeah.
would be like, man, you got to reach out to her and see her. But yeah, I think depending on if people have never started or just started, guys, click that link that I dropped in the chat. Like, just start figuring out. That might be your first step, right? Just to go ahead and get more information. And so I love that, man. And really, dude, again, I think your story is so awesome to see that the hard work you've put in here over the last 14 months, it didn't happen instantaneously. You
No.
put a lot of work in and you watered those seeds and you made those jumps and identity shifts. And to see it come out, man, to be over 100K here in your business and to see the goals that you're setting, I just can't wait to see what the end of 2025 looks like, 2026, 5 years, 10 years down the line. Who knows, man? The sky's the limit for you now and what you can build because you've broken through so many barriers. So, yeah, I know right now we're in the Facebook group, but I know a lot of our current clients watch this as well. Just to finish up, man, any one or two gold nuggets that you might be able to share with people currently in the program that maybe have helped you as you've kind of continued to scale that maybe stand out as like these are big core principles you kind of
Yeah.
learned over the
Yeah,
process?
I would say so. I mean, two things that instantly sort of come to mind. The number one thing, and this is something that took me a while to really develop in terms of, a mindset shift, but it's having confidence in your ability and in what you offer, right? So initially, when I was thinking back to some of those first calls that I was on, I was kind of like almost a little bit nervous, almost like, come and
Mhm.
try this, I think this will help you. When I look at what I do now, I'm like, why wouldn't you work with me? I mean, this is obvious. If you need help, this is how you do it. Why
Yeah.
don't we move forward? Having that confidence in what you do is really, really important. And then the other thing as well that I've been learning a little bit more recently, talking about these bigger sort of issues that I've been facing, that I've been having, it's well, keep it simple, really. Like
Mhm.
the core business model, keep it simple. Of course, you can always add to it, you can always change things. But I think a quote from someone, I think it was Hormozy, he said something like, 80% of the issues come from 20% of the things. So you should focus on those things and get them fixed. So yeah, I suppose to just wrap that second point up, it would be to keep things simple and just yeah, really develop your core offer.
I love that, man. I think what you said in a nutshell, the confidence piece is so important when you get
Yeah,
going. 'Cause a lot of us
definitely.
just we're brand new to this, our confidence isn't up, but we have an activity where we essentially have people write down, hey, why is your program worth it? right? And a lot of the times we have thoughts in our head that tell us our program's not worth it. Well, how is anybody going to go ahead and buy into your program if you're not even bought into your program?
Yeah.
You're not going to sell anything, right? So it's a mindset issue. And to the last point, keeping it simple, I think one of the craziest things that I learned, and this is to anybody that might have a team of people working with them as well, is to realize that pretty much 98% of the problems you're facing have nothing to do with maybe the team or the systems. It comes down to you being a confident leader with standards and holding people accountable and having hard conversations. And if you do that, so many things work out the way that they need to, as opposed to like, oh, I need a more complex system or I need a better way of doing it. It's like, no, upgrade your own operating system and you become that leader that everybody else wants to follow. You teach them how to become better leaders that are self independent and self-managed, and it just works so much better. So yeah, Luke, man, I just want to thank you, man, for going ahead, taking the time out of your day to just share, man, in this, you know, I would say it's a celebration, man, of the fact that you have hit this milestone of crossing over that 100K. And that's always the hardest part, man. Another 100K, hitting 200 a little bit faster, going ahead and expanding and seeing that compound growth in the mirror moving forward. So
Yeah.
I'm just excited for you. And anybody that is watching this, feel free, guys, grab that link in the chat, fill it out. We'd love to speak with you and see if we can help you and you can join this awesome community here at the Teacher Project and take your business to the next level. So we're going to be having these calls on a regular basis, guys. So if you just caught this one, go back. You can catch the ones from previous months, and we're also going to be lining up a few other impact clients to come in here, share their stories. So we hope you guys can join us then as well. Until then, guys, hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and we will talk to you guys soon. See ya.